Hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. This is Mika, and here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And today, we're talking circle casting. So, couple things right up front. I have not always been someone who would cast a circle to do magical work in, but I am someone who mostly um, ask for protection from my ancestors when doing certain workings, would visualize sort of a bubble of protection around me. So I'm sort of morphing my way, Mika's way, and a little bit of the way you might be familiar with, just even if you've never cast a circle and you're watching this and you're just kind of curious. But you've probably come in contact, if you're reading any witchcraft 101 type books or witchcraft books in general, they tend to, Wicca especially, talk about circle casting. I am not Wiccan. I used to be, but I'm not. I probably dip into the Wiccan ways of doing things more than I realize, because it's where I gain, I want to say, my foundational knowledge of witchcraft from. Probably a lot of us have. However, I've grown and there's nothing wrong with being Wiccan. And I can honestly, I could see how one could slip easily into that, especially if you're craving structure. Wicca can provide a lot of that. There's some certain things that I felt like it wasn't for me, but it was a great foundation. But probably if I had been with the right people, when I say the right people, like people who maybe were like me, who kind of like to veer off a little bit and go on these tangents in their magic. Maybe if I had found that tribe, that coven at the time, maybe I would have stayed Wiccan. I would have committed to that. I've committed to witchcraft all this time, so why not Wicca, right? But anyway, moving on. So when you watch this instructional type thing video that I'm doing as best as I can to explain how to cast a circle. So first off, I wanted to make sure I was down on my floor. So I moved my coffee table out the way, pushed everything back so I could be sitting on my floor. I do have my glass of wine though, because I am recording this in the late evening hours, and this is my time that I like to enjoy my wine. So cheers. And somehow red wine adds to the witchy aesthetic. Don't ask me how, it just does. Anyway, moving on. I'm silly. So this is my own way of doing this circle. Now, I'm going to tell you, when you cast a circle, you do want to have 4 points within a circle where you are either having a connection to elements, directions, both. That's what I do. I don't work with any sort of archangels or anything like that. Archangels, or I keep saying that, archangels. That's not my bag. I don't go there. However, I created these for me. They are rough, but they are mine. My drawings of the elements. So this is all me, and I'm staying beside it. So this would be air. This would be earth. Okay. This is water. And this is fire. So also, I think in where they go as far as the directions as well go. So, you put it where you want, but here's I don't want to say that. Follow along. Okay. So I'm going to set up. This is how I was set up for a circle. You can go get water, incense for air, fire, a candle, like a tea light candle maybe. Earth, you can get crystals. So you can get that sort of stuff if you prefer. So those work as well if you want to actually have elements. I've blessed these, and these paintings come from me, my hand, and my intention. So I love the idea of using this. If you like drawings, or if, let's say, you have pictures in a magazine or something you saw online of representation of any of these elements, print them out, make it pretty, maybe put them in frames. Imagine having these frames, small, like 5x7 frames, as part of your circle. You only use it for circle casting. Or imagine just a piece of paper that you print out and you put down. Maybe you print it on quality photo paper. or, you know, maybe you do a rough drawing, you know, you trace over it, whatever you want. But the point is, I'm just telling you my way to make it my own, as opposed to maybe getting natural elements, which is perfectly fine and wonderful, by the way. But, you know, I kind of like doing it like this. And I've been doing it like this for, it's been the last, I want to say, a couple months or so that I've kind of really gotten back into circle casting. So anyway, moving on. So east is going to be your air. And for me, the sun is setting. That's west. So this is east. It's literally setting. So east is over here on my side. So I'll put that on my side here, which means west is over here. So west is representative of water. So I got that over on, I'm just putting it down on the floor next to me. And then if this is west and that's east, then that's north behind me. And north is represented by earth. So I put that behind me. And then fire, south. So that's in front of me, which is weird down. But anyway, just stay with me. Okay. So this is what I would say. So this is something you can repeat, pause and write down this if you kind of like an idea, if you like this. I'm going to just do it and then I'll get into where I'm going with all this. So I start with, we call on the gatekeeper to open the door between the physical and spiritual world. And I say we because this was written for coven work. We link through time and distance. And at the time it was various people linking, but you can say I link. But we link through time and distance, our circles, to create an all-encompassing circle that will protect us. So I had several witches, and they were in their own homes, in their circles, and we cosmically, metaphysically link those circles. But if it's you solitarily doing it, so I'm going to just repeat how I would say this as a solitary witch. I call on the gatekeeper to open the door between the physical and spiritual world. I link through time and distance, my circle, as one all-encompassing circle for protection. So I would say that. And circles, references, sacred geometry, all that sort of stuff, it all resonates with me. So that's why I say it that way. Again, I told you, this is in the world, the mind of Mika, this witch. I'm going to say we, because I'm looking down at my notes here. I call upon the east throne of air. That's over here. And I would look, and I, take a deep breath as I face east. This is what I do. Calling upon the east, okay? I call upon the south throne of fire. So now I'm looking forward. I place a hand over a lit candle. I did this during a ritual. If I'm doing this, by the way, circle casting, there's always a candle, but I would place it over my lit candle and feel the heat and face south, okay? I call to the west throne of water, and I place a hand over my womb, okay, and feel the waters within as I face west. See? Because we're made up of water, dear. There's water there. Then I would say, I call upon the north throne of earth, and I press my feet onto the floor. Now I'm sitting crisscross applesauce, but I can just take one of my legs, stretch it out, put my feet down, and acknowledge the stability as I face north, which is behind me. Okay? Now ritually, this would look a lot different. I'm going to be wearing ritual attire, most likely. I mean, I don't have to, but when I'm working with my coven, I do. And then more importantly, there's been some things that happened before I got to the circle. Even if I'm doing this by myself, by the way, there's some things I'm going to chant. You want to raise some energy. You want to first ground yourself, then you want to raise energy, then you want to kind of put yourself in your zone. Listen to your music, whatever it is. We were having a great conversation about this. If you belong to a safe place for witches, my Discord channel, It's open for any witch who wants to, a safe place for a witch to talk, learn, hang out. We're doing something this Saturday, by the way, more about that later. But anyway, yeah, so the whole point is for, you to get kind of in your witchy zone, for lack of better words. You want to get in a zone, your occultist, your spirituality, you want to get that witch bitch energy going. And in order to do that, for some of us, it's listening to music. For some people, it might be trap music. It might be rap or whatever, hip hop. It might be whatever you need it to be. It might be vibrational beats or something like that. For me, honestly, and I was sharing this, I love listening to the Practical Magic soundtrack. It works. It works for me. I love it because I love that movie so much. That is, by the way, one of my favorite all-time movies, witchy movies, but definitely all-time movies that I just adore. I love that movie so much. The soundtrack resonates, like it's all clicking. I read the book. I follow the author. Like, I'm a fan. So long story short, I'm really into it. So when I heard that soundtrack, it just put me in a certain headspace. So that's, once you do that, I would just, by the way, say blessed be. Once I acknowledge the different directions and the elements. Notice I'm doing elements and directions. But you can play around with this and say what you want. The point is, take it seriously, get into the zone. Notice how I made this sort of like interactive with my body, placing my feet onto the floor to feel the earth. That's why I'm down on the floor. Instead of, like placing your feet, just grounding and centering yourself. It could take a moment to create this circle. It might not be, something you do in 5 minutes. You could really take your time with this. Build it out, but I'm giving you like a framework. A lot of witches see things happening in books or read things in books, but I remember when I was looking years ago for circle casting, and I didn't see a lot of like real life stuff. I was obsessed with seeing what does it look like. I can read about it, I can see still pictures, but I like to see, what are you really doing? So I'm showing you what I'm really doing with wine. Okay, now when you're casting your circle, you want to see that link between so if I'm really doing this, and I'm just gonna kind of go over it one more time. I call to the east, throne of air. I take a deep breath as I face east. I might meditate for a second, just kind of just like envision, like there's something happening, like whether it's a light, like basically a flame, something comes alive when I'm facing that direction. I call to the south, throne of fire. And like even your hand placement, like I'm in this position of openness, not like this, but it's more like this. I'm basically communicating, interacting. So I'm like this. I call to the south, throne of fire. Place a hand. I'm narrating this, but I place a hand. I place a hand over a lit candle. At that point, I would have a lit candle in front of me. But in this case, honestly, you can put it over top of your genital area, which is typically warm for most of us, right? Men or women. That's heat, honey. I'm natural. Just because I don't have the different things there, it still counts. You can put that there, but ideally, I would have a candle. So I would put my hand, just so I can feel that heat. As I face south, and again, I would just see this link in my mind's eye, a visual representation. It could be fire, it could be light, it could be a bubble, whatever it is, but you're seeing this connection as you go around to each element in each direction occur. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, so once you have your circle up, you said blessed be, or whatever you want to say, as I will it, so it is done. The circle is formed. You make some declarative statement. And then you do whatever work you want to do. So now you're done. You want to get rid of that circle, right? Or, close the circle. Or I guess reopen the circle. However you want to say. Anyway, you want to get rid of the circle. So I would say I release the call to the gatekeeper. I release the call to the east, and then I would start again to the east. We all, I take a deep breath, do the same thing. I release the call to the south. I would go back and, release the call to the west, and then the north as well. That's typically how I did it, as opposed to I just started back where I was again, and I went around. I know for some people, they go in like a counter direction, clockwise direction. So they would have started, if I started here and ended here, I would start where I end and go back. But that didn't just, I don't know, it didn't make sense to me. You do what you want to do. Anyway, but I started here and I just went around again. The opposite part is what I'm saying, I'm releasing. I'm not calling, I'm releasing. And then finally, once I'm done, again, I just say, blessed be. That's when I extinguish any flames, so forth, and my circle's open. This is just a protective circle I do. This is kind of the framework, the basis of it. You can build on this. Think of the ways that you could build on this circle to make it your own. You can add certain elements, things that you can correlate to the directions or to elements as well. Maybe you do some other sort of gesture besides, placing your feet firmly on the ground to sense the earth's stability, breathing in air. Maybe you do a hand gesture. I mean, just think about all the possibilities that you can do to make it your own. The point is you are actively participating, using your energy, lending it, and then believing that you have this circle of protection using your energy. It's coming from you. One of the things that I know that I love doing is when I do a grounding meditation, which is if you want to do this right before you actually cast it, or you can work this in maybe in the earth part, is if I'm sitting on a floor, my mind's eye see like just imaginary roots going down into the core of the earth, into the hot molten center of the earth, and connecting with that fire energy, that power, and then lending its energy to me as I cast, and giving me just another level of power to cast that circle. I find that very helpful, by the way. Sometimes with grounding energy, that also, by the way, just separate. If you want to do that same meditation, in your mind's eye, you just see for a moment all the stuff, all the negativity, the extra energy, all that. You just push that down through those connected roots into the center of the earth, and you leave it there, and then you pull back up the roots, and then you're done. So you put that energy, energy you didn't need, didn't want, that maybe you picked up in other places from other people, and you leave it there, and it's recycled, and you can tap back into the overall energy when you need that extra oomph power, getting into earth energy. And again, I still connected with the fire element because I can't contain myself. Also, by the way, in the middle of the earth is it's a lot of energy, and it's fire, so know that. Anyway, it's very hot. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I typically end with old school Wiccan blessed be, and that's the end of the circle casting. But that's pretty much it. So what you would do when you were done is you would just pick up your if you did like me and have these little paintings, otherwise your elements, the things that you might have used, natural herbs or whatever you place in those spots. That's it. And that's pretty much circle casting, light, basic, simple. I bring this up again. I mentioned this in my previous video, the veil is thinning. A lot of us are a lot more open. Some of us who are not even sure about, you watch these videos, you're not sure how you feel about witchcraft. You go back and forth, but guess what? You are open now. So even if you're not really 100% sure, it doesn't matter. You're open now. It's happening. And these spirits and ancestors and different entities, we'll say energies, the veil is thin and they can come through. And for people like you who are kind of still discovering, still learning, not 100% committed maybe, you've opened your mind's eye, you've opened yourself up. Your consciousness has been awakened, and they can sense that. So they may come to you. So if you haven't reconciled how you feel about all this, for some of you, it won't really matter how you've kind of come to terms with it, it's happening. The dreams are happening, the synchronicities, coincidences, the messaging that you didn't ask for. People are just kind of like, you're like, how do they know that? The corner out of the eye thing that's happening more often than not. The weird sense of feelings. You don't know where it came from. You just feel something all of a sudden, a strong sense of emotion. Before somebody might say, oh, you're an empath, but there's nobody around. Who are you picking up feelings from? And the people that you know and love who you may be connected with, they're fine. They're not telling you anything. So where is this coming from? Why do I get cold all of a sudden? Why do I feel like, something kind of walked through me? There's this feeling you get where you get like a chill. And the old folks would say, basically a ghost walked through you, a spirit walked through you. Yeah, that. I believe in that, by the way. I've had a lot of those experiences where you just get the chills. I'm in hot behind Arizona. I don't need to be getting chills, but it happens. Just all sorts of stuff. And another thing, a lot of us who like to imbibe in cocktails of sorts and wine and maybe other things, let me just tell you something. In that space, not everybody can do this. I haven't mastered this, by the way, but for some people, I think for people who are very analytical, some of us who might be overthinkers, when we have a little bit of wine or a little bit of something else, not enough to get you like drunk or high, like not that, but like in that in between space, you're a little bit more open. So during this time, be aware of that. So if you see, don't question it. It's happening. It's what you thought you saw. You thought you saw something, you did see something. You felt something, you heard something, you did. Don't question it. It's real. Journal about it if you can. Jot some notes. Make a quick voice recording if that makes sense to you. But do catalog it, and when and your more present sense of mind, go ahead and maybe kind of deconstruct that and analyze that a little bit. Maybe do a reading to get a little bit more information. But they come to you in all sorts of ways, and it all depends on the type of witch that you are. How you practice, what your strengths are. We're not quite all the same. Some of us are truly clairvoyant. Some of us are truly psychic. Some of us are, whatever. I'm learning more about myself. I'm very good with tarot cards in the sense that those messages come through and they really resonate with people. And I've gotten better over the years at distinguishing my thoughts and my feelings from what is, what the message is coming across. And that takes work, by the way, because a lot of us react from fear, react from, what we think we know best, and our interpretations can get a little fuzzy because we're going on how we feel about it. And that's one of those moments where it's not so much, you do need to be careful about how you feel because spirit communicates that way. But also, again, learning what's coming from up here and versus just, the messages that's coming from, your higher self and spirit in general, or whoever you're contacting to get the message. And that just takes work. And the only way you're going to really learn how to do it is to actually do readings and just practice with people. Practice with people you know. I've been doing that for years. I wouldn't call it practice anymore because they really are taking these messages and it's very serious work at this point. But yeah, do that. But all in all, relish this time. I love this time of year. It's spooky season and I like the spooky. I like it. So I'm all in. Let me know in the comments if you cast circles or do some sort of, protection work like circle casting, somewhat like that. I'm really curious, and I think other people would be curious to know as well, what are the other alternatives that you might be doing besides something like this. But I think at this time of year, it's a good time to do this when you want to work with your goddess of choice or your god, or if you're working with ancestors, perhaps. Maybe you want to go ahead and cast a circle, especially if you're petitioning them for something or doing any sort of ritual. It might be good to cast a circle, It's a good time to do that. Just another level of protection. All right, that's all I got. So thanks for watching. I'm Mika. This is Leap Taken. Don't forget, please like, subscribe, and share. And as always, thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.